Hey guys, welcome to Filmji. This is Nitin. Today we are talking the new non-fiction series from Netflix called Bad Boy Billionaires India. This was a very controversial series of sorts since the trailer came out. I think like a month or two back. We all saw the trailer. All of anyone who saw the trailer was excited by the content because of like two reasons, right? One, because Netflix India hasn't forayed into the non-fiction category in India, but we've already seen them do that internationally. Be it Wild Wild Country, which I think is one of the most famous ones, but be it a lot of other crime documentaries that they've made, and like the Social Dilemma just came out, so they're very good with non-fiction content, right? Netflix globally, but India, this was the first time they're foraying into it. As per my knowledge, I don't think there's anything this at least publicized from Netflix. Something under the radar might have flown in terms of like the Netflix India content in non-fiction, but I think this is the major one. That was the first reason. I think the second reason, the people that they were covering, these are some of the biggest scams of the last decade. If you're an Indian, you've heard about Vijay Mallya so much, you've heard about Nirav Modi so much over the past 5 to 6 years because of the scams, because of the frauds, and everyone has like a major arc if you've just followed basic news. But the Sahara scam, I think like the third scam, the Subrata Roy scam, I think that is because it was dispersed over a couple of decades. I think if someone's been following the news, right, you won't get the comprehensive understanding of what you'll get from this series. For the other two, I think, at least like in my mind and the people I've talked this about, they had basic ideas, but this show helped. But like for the third case, I think it gave such a clear picture. Right, so the first time they're entering non-fiction content, important and famous bad boy billionaires in Indian culture, so everyone was excited, right? Then the whole court thing happened. In fact, like one of the episodes, the Satyam case is still in the courts, so we just get 3 out of the 4. I hope that comes to, man. I'm so excited to watch it. I have followed the Satyam case, so I'll be really intrigued to watch it. But the 3 that we got, I'll sort of go episode by episode, but before that, I just want to give my overall thoughts. I thought this was a very, very well produced series. I mean, right from the B-roll to the cuts to the opening to the whole flow of a documentary that was created, the whole narrative was built so well, starting with the title music that's so catchy. I think it's by Rishi Rich. Everything about it, well polished Netflix, amazing storytelling, right? So that's my overall thoughts. I'll just go bit by bit without a lot of spoilers on all 3 episodes. What were my feelings about each of them and how they were sequenced. I thought they arranged them perfectly, because it starts off with the Vijay Mallya episode, who's probably the most flamboyant, the most well-known, the most bad boy billionaire out there, I guess, because everyone's seen him live his life lavishly over the past couple of decades. If you've used any Kingfisher product apart from their beer, I mean, be it their calendars, they want to make it a lifestyle brand, right? With their airlines, which is something that I think a lot of us did travel by, or be it like a lot of mugs, bottles, all the surrogate advertising that they did for the beer. What kind of services they offered. Like, I have traveled in Kingfisher Airlines for at least a couple of years during my initial college years, and I loved the airlines. In fact, the questions that they raise here, I had the same question, that isn't it charging me very less given the kind of services I'm getting? And then you learn, right, how this was all happening. So again, it comes down to a man who's not putting anything from his own pocket on the stake, but using the bank loans and then defaulting and then running off, which you can call a petty thief, which is what it comes down to, right? And the first and the second episode that I'll move to, the Nirav Modi one, those hurt, because as a taxpayer from the country, you realize that these people actually literally like took your money and ran away. The money that could have been, you contribute that money so that the country does better, but it's a scam, or like it's almost like you've been pickpocketed, but it's so systematic and over such a long time that you won't realize it. Like I tell you, your 100 rupees are gone today, that might hurt you, but when you realize your thousands and lakhs over years have been just wasted like this, I think that's just very profound when you think about it. Also, a couple of things on this episode. By the way, all of these 3, as I said, well directed, very well edited. Everything for a documentary was on point. 1 hour, one of the best 3 single hours things that you would watch in non-fiction, I would say, this year. So very interesting. And this episode, I think two things that stood out, like just to make it contemporary, there was this clipping that they, and Vijay Mallya is like so free on the camera, so you get a lot of understanding of his mind. Why would he need that sort of attention, just to announce his arrival to the world? And he's compared to Donald Trump in one of the clips, and you see why they would, the editor would put it right now given the current contemporary context. And then there's a small clipping of our current Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaking about people like him, and like all the scamsters and the businessmen. So those editing choices also stuck out to me, like very nicely done. What an astute eye of the guy making it, just to make sure the viewers are on board and see this happening from a long time. I think it's a very interesting case to think about, especially psychologically. Like, all of these three people are clearly ambitious and have visions, but the reason as to, because there are hundreds of people, hundreds of businessmen who are corrupt, maybe not to their scale, but there would definitely be some to their scale, who keep a low profile and they do their scams very lightly. They're concerned with making money, making profits, getting the hell out of it. But these guys, all of these, they wanted to announce their arrival. So there's something to be said about that, right? Psychologically, a sort of narcissism or insecurity or a sense of validation. I think that was very interesting across all three episodes. And Vijay Mallya's case, I think, might be the best, given one of the points. And again, I don't want to spoil it, but he celebrates a key moment in his life when everything around is in shambles and people want their answers. That was very interesting to me. So I think this is not the best episode out of the three, but not the worst. It's somewhere in the between, but given his lifestyle, it's a perfect way to start the series. Then we move to the episode which I think is the weakest among the three, and that's still pretty good. That's the Nirav Modi episode, and I think that's because there are not a lot of clippings of him. There are a lot of clippings, people talking about him, and you get his journey, but there are not a lot of clippings of him, unlike the Vijay Mallya or the Subrata Roy episode. So it's harder for you to see the man, because that is because he was like an introvert. We are told that in the documentary, but yet I think it was a very interesting episode. Again, taking India global, the fact that he wanted to set up like 100 stores by 2025, taking this fashion jewelry brand global, and starting it off, like, it starts based on trust. And I have a friend in Surat who tells me, like, the place that he's hailed from, everyone hates him because it is actually a trust-based business, the jewelry business, which he's just maligned at that point. So that was a very, again, an interesting episode. Not as interesting as the Vijay Mallya one, but still a very good episode to watch. Again, very well made. And then I come to the third episode, which is my favorite episode of the three, the Subrata Roy episode, which is a pyramid chit fund scheme that he started. Basically, you give me your money, in 3 years I'll double it around. And how these schemes usually work, like you need a lot of people to sign up so that you have a pot of money, and then what you do is, like, instead of paying them back, you maybe pay them back for the initial years, and then you say you should reinvest. In the recent years, I have been approached by long lost school friends and people and acquaintances in these pyramid schemes for other various brands, and it's called network marketing or multi-level marketing, as you might know it. But like, this is the inception of that shit. This is shit fund. And why this is worse, although I would say it's worse in all cases. Even if you're a well-to-do person, if someone's scamming you or getting you into a pyramid scheme, you're screwed. It's bad. But this one was the worst because these were the least earning people, right? People who live from paycheck to, not just paycheck to paycheck, I would say meal to meal, and yet they had just these meager 10 rupees a day things that they were still saving, just in that hope of, like, it'll multiply in a couple of years. And maybe they got returns initially, which is what increased their trust. And since India is a very cultural based community, it's all like a network is the best way to go with such people, because they trust everyone in their, say, villages or their surroundings. So the fact that Subrata Roy preyed on these people And I genuinely don't think, like, having watched the whole thing, I genuinely don't think he realized that. He probably did think of himself as a god, and like, you see people who just vouch so much for him because maybe they got returns, or maybe they saw the love that he got. But and they talk about him having god complex. So it's a very interesting one. What's very interesting to me is, like, I watched the word Sahara, the brand Sahara, written on the Indian cricket team, which I think everyone has watched growing up in India. You do watch cricket, and the background of that brand, when the players came out over the next few years, I remember it shocking me over the past decade. But an end-to-end arc of, like, how it started and who this man was and how it ended, and like the fact that he said 127 trucks of documents to the, financial regulator of India, just to, just screw them up so that they can never verify what he was trying to hide. It was so interesting, so fascinating. I started watching these. I couldn't stop. I had work to do, like my day job, and I just made sure whenever I got time off, I just watched it. I binged it through. I think it's definitely worth your time. One of the best entries that Netflix India could have done in the country in terms of non-fiction category. So excited to see what they do next. I think if they go the route of crime thrillers or like crime documentaries in non-fiction, they have a lot of stuff to mine in India, and it is gonna get very dark. But I'm really interested to see what they do. And in terms of non-fiction, they've done reality shows. I think there was a Karan Johar show and all, but in terms of like documentaries, the core non-fiction that I would call it. So again, excited about it. I hope we get the 4th episode as well. I would rate it very highly. I would call it like a 4 on 5 as a combined show. Each episode would have different ratings, but I think cumulatively it's definitely a 4 on 5. And a super show like that, I would highly recommend to anyone to watch. So tell me, if you got a chance to watch it, what do you feel? Which is your favorite episode? Which is your least favorite episode? Comment below, let me know. Till then, this is Nathan saying, keep filming.